Good morning, it's Jonathan Barrett with the Week Ahead report. It's Monday the 9th of May and the current time is 7:39. The Week Ahead report's a report where we talk about the up-and-coming events, talk about some of the themes we've been following over the last couple of weeks, see whether we're right or wrong, and obviously look at the economic data which is due out this week. Obviously last week was quite a turmoil week in terms of commodity prices, with obviously some major moves, certainly a lot of changes in rhetoric as well, and obviously a lot of geopolitical news as well. I guess at the end of the day what we're looking at is I think a real change in thoughts. I think one of the key to me at the moment is the weakness of the US dollar, and I think it's interesting that we have a demand pull inflationary environment in the growth economies, and we've got a cost push inflationary environment in the those economies which are trying to grow. And then I think this is going to be a very hard form of management that the central banks have to contend with. In the States, we did have some good data, some unemployment data, but we also got to see good growth. Remember this week, we got CPI out of America, and that to me is going to be one that will be widely watched and confirm whether or not we do have those inflationary concerns, because you can't raise rates, because that'll only take more heat out of the market, but you want to encourage demand. Stimulus 2 is rolling off. So that to me is a bit of an issue as well. So I think we're really going to be fighting, I guess, in terms of the outcome. But I think one of the key movers will be the value of the US dollar, because if the value of the US dollar appreciates from this level, that in itself will play a dampening role on commodity prices. And that dampening role, whilst in the growth economies you have an increased interest rates, should not be affected there, because they can use that tool to manage it. But in the US economy, they can keep those commodity prices low, which will help stimulate their economy, and those costs, and therefore put a little bit of less pressure on that cost push environment that we have there, and those commodities will be able to clear a little bit better. So there is this story development that US dollar can actually firm a little bit more from here. Now I just put that on the chart. There it is there, and we've seen some good moves, and that does look good. We sort of took on some short dollars as well, short Aussie as a result of that, and I actually think that that's been quite strong, and probably expect that to continue for a little while. Some of the trades that haven't moved as quickly as the others, say for instance the dollar yen, might actually come in its own way. There we are there, that's it there, and I think I'd actually start to support that as a move higher. We've had some good trades on that dollar yen, and I think that you'll probably see that it's right at the lower end of its range again, and I don't mind looking at it again. Okay, now let's the week ahead report. Let's I guess crank into it, and let's have just a little bit of a recap on what's happened over in Europe and America. I guess the most important thing there is just really to have a look at the Dow. Dow closed up 54 points. That was good unemployment data. 244 mark was expecting about 185. A bit of a sign there for inflation. That's why we've gone back into gold. Went back into gold on Friday as well. S&P was up 5, Nasdaq was up 12. Looking at the top 50 in Europe was up 26. The FTSE was up 56. CAC was up 53, and the DAX was up 115. So quite good on that front. Local market was actually strong, just a little bit up 8 points, 4,751. I mean, they're a snapshot of the equity markets around the world. Let's just have a look. We just briefly touched on what we were expecting, in the dollar index, and we sort of feel that dollar index is one way to control commodity prices, and I think the US or the Fed will be certainly looking at that. So I'm actually sort of wondering, looking at the various currencies there, which one do I like? And when you look at them, the dollar yen is the only one that really hasn't moved as much. There's that Aussie there, a bit of a bounce there, but we're short Aussie. We're short from about 110. 109.70, so quite happy on that front. So let's see how that unfolds. But as I said, dollar yen, yen's still very firm. But I like that in terms of a little bit of a rally. Look at the daily chart here. There we go. Right lower end of the range, you can't go wrong, and just turf it out at 83. That would be my view, which I'll be doing. Okay, now let's also have a look at, that's the currencies, dollar index we mentioned. Have a look at gold. Now this is interesting. We're seeing gold, crude oil under pressure, and gold a little bit of a bounce. Okay, I like that trend. I really do. I think gold's got more to do on it. A breakthrough 1,500. I think the market will look to buy it as well. That the numbers out of the States still relatively inflationary. these sorts of things, I think you're quite comfortable being long. When you look at crude oil, 98.04, just move your stops down in here. We've sort of mentioned where we think it should go, and we're quite happy with that. And as you can see, that did come under pressure. It is at the lower end of the range, and you might get a bit of a bounce there pretty soon, but just see what happens. Certainly very volatile. If you are short, move your stop to 102. I think that's 102 is well enough. If it does, it'll trade back up to there, close that gap around 108, and then come down. But at the moment, when you look at some of the momentum indicators, they still look just a little bit weak. Righty-ho, that's crude. Copper, we know we've been short there for a while, so quite happy to remain on that bandwagon. And when I look at that, there we are, still short. Reasons for that, but we are getting close to a low on there. Okay, so that's that. Some of the corns, we've got just a quick snapshot on that before we get into the other data. Relatively good, but we are behind the pace on this. We believe in the trade, but at the moment we're seeing relatively good weather. So we're just going to have to nut it out, I think. And that to me is the only safe. That covers all the rest of the grains as well. Okay, so that's pretty much on that front. Grains. Now let's have a look at the numbers that we've got coming out. The most important data we've got at the end of this week is CPI. So let's see how that unfolds. We've got ANZ job advertisements today. I guess not too much out there on Monday. Tuesday, coming in trade balance in Australia. Remember, the most important thing we've got coming up is the federal budget, and that comes out in the evening, obviously. Let's see how that affects it. We've got a little bit of data out in the States there, but as I said, I think most of the data comes out on Thursday and Friday. Wednesday, a little bit of consumer price in West Germany. Interesting just to keep a tag on that. And Bank of England on their inflation report will be interesting. I think there'll be a little bit of upbeatness there. Lots of data out of Japan there in terms of some of your money data. Thursday, this is where it all starts to cook up and where we get most of the focus for the week. In Australia, we've got unemployment. Let's see what happens there, but obviously the rate's steady at 4.9%. Industrial production in the UK and manufacturing, same with the Eurozone, we've got industrial production, quite important there. And in the States there, we've got PPI, retail sales. This is all advanced data for the weekly billing, and that's obviously what we've got coming up in the US, which is CPI. CPI and University of Michigan confidence. All important, that CPI data, as we know, year on year. If it comes in at the numbers above 3.1%, then obviously that's a little bit inflationary. So the month-on-month data hopefully will be down a little bit, but I think the market will read into that, and as a result of that, you'll probably see things just aggressively, a little bit aggressively bid. Okay, now that's pretty much it for the, let's try and get that, the week ahead report. As I mentioned, it all culminated in CPI. The themes we've been following for some time, a little bit behind the pace in our grains, but we still believe in it. And we'll just see opportunities. At the moment, the market is trending sideways to lower. We've just got to be patient. Gold, we're long. Oil, we're short. And Aussie, we're short. We're just expecting a bit of a turnaround, and we're going to really seriously look at that dollar yen. Well, that's about it for me. Have a great week, and we'll certainly talk to you tomorrow. Bye for now.